Hello everybody, I'm Nora Burrows and we are going on another quilt adventure. I recently joined my local quilt guild like a week ago, and the first email I received from them was about this estate sale of these two textile artists who I don't know anything really about this. I have very little information, but I do know that they have like a barn and a carriage house filled with stuff. Now what this stuff is, I have no idea. I don't know if these women are still alive. I'll find out, but I'll find out who they are, what's happening with this estate sale, what's in this estate sale. So I do have a lot of hope for this adventure. More hope than the last one, and I'll tell you why. So the last quilt adventure we went on was to the estate sale of the nationally renowned quilter Carol Taylor. She's still alive. I want to make sure that's clear. I don't want to start spreading any rumors. She's just relocating to Florida. I'll link to that below. And I had high hopes for that one too, but all the stuff ended up being super expensive, so I got very little fabric there. However, the reason why I have more hope for this estate sale, and I'm calling it estate sale, but I don't know if that's actually what it is. It's just basically like you're going to this barn and buying stuff out of it. But when I was talking to the woman on the phone, she said that you basically just like go and put everything you want in a crate, and then she tells you how much, and she's like, you know, sometimes I charge like $5 a crate or something like that. So that seemed like way more reasonable. But she also gave me the heads up. She said, you know, keep in mind that this stuff is like being stored. She didn't really know I don't know how she's related to these women or if she's friends of theirs or what, but she's like, I don't really know the state of a lot of the stuff in there. Like it's been kept in a barn. So who knows, you know, when you're dealing with like fabric and textiles and stuff, who knows how that's going to be. But we'll find out. Let's go. It's about a half-hour drive. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that she has kind of set up appointment-ish kind of stuff. She's like, come between this time and this time, because she doesn't want like too many people there all at once. So I don't know. I signed up for the first time slot. I think she's already had people there before, it sounds like. But when I found out about it, I immediately called her and she said that the time slots were Thursday 10 a.m. to whatever time, and then Friday 10 a.m. to whatever time. And I was like, I will be there Thursday at 10. So hopefully we'll find some good stuff. Let's go find out. I've just arrived, and I thought I would just take a second and talk to you a little bit about what I'm hoping for in there. Obviously fabric would be great, but I'd love some other stuff besides just quilting cotton. I mean, I will take all the quilting cotton I can get, but if they have, you know, I think that these are textile artists, which means that they may be working with other types of material, which would be really cool. I'd love to experiment with some of that. And then what I would really love is if maybe there was some partially done projects that I could finish, or some Orphan quilt blocks. So we'll see. Let's go see what they've got. Well, this has been an enormous success. I got how many bags? Let's see. Let's take a look. They're all in the trunk back there. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bags here. And then I got a couple things that are in the back seat. Let me show you. I got these big, like, wall things that look like trays. I got 3 of them. I'll tell you what I'm thinking for these in a little bit. So I got all of that stuff for $70. Now, here's my plan. I want to show you at least a lot of what I got. I don't know, I don't want this video to be super long, so I can't imagine showing every single thing, but maybe I will. What I'm thinking is that I'm gonna wash every single bit of this fabric on hot water and dry it on hot, just because this fabric has been kind of in environments that are not really conducive to fabric. So I want to make sure to get as much as the mist and mildew and anything else that's in this fabric, wash it thoroughly on heat. That may ruin bits of this fabric, which I'm honestly okay with. I mean, if I was coming back from my local quilt shop, I certainly would not be washing that fabric on hot heat and putting it in the dryer on high, but that's not what's going on here. So let me wash this, and I think maybe after every load, I'll just show you what's in that load. So let me go ahead and do that. I washed and dried everything last night. Everything is here on the dining room table, except I will say that I got 8 of those big bags of stuff at the sale. One of the bags was filled with beads, so I don't need any more beads. I probably shouldn't have bought beads, but the price was just so good, and all the beads were in those little plastic rectangle containers with the dividers. And I mean, even having just those plastic containers with the dividers alone is kind of really nice. So one of the bags was the beads, and then I got 7 bags of this fabric. Some of the bags, as I was washing and drying it, and I washed everything on hot, dried everything on hot, and I was shocked to find that almost everything came out like new. It was fantastic. The stains came out. I mean, there were holes in the fabric in some places, which I obviously couldn't do anything about. But I really thought that washing the fabric on hot heat was going to damage some of the fabric or make it much thinner. There's a reason why people say to wash your fabric on cold and dry it on delicate. And so I always just thought washing it on hot heat was going to be problematic, but it wasn't. There were, however, some items that as I was going through them and putting them into the wash and kind of looking at it, they were just too stained to keep. So I did throw some stuff away, but very little, and almost everything is here on the table, and I'm going to show it to you all. I thought that it would take too much time, but what I realized is a lot of the fabric I got was really big pieces. So, and I was able to kind of clump some similar items together. So I don't think it'll take that long. I am going to show you the stuff. I wanted to tell you who these women are. The women whose house that we went to the estate sale at, they're both alive. They live together. They call themselves sisters, and they have a place down in Florida and then a place here in New York. But when I went to this estate sale, I thought it was going to be a barn and a carriage house. I was kind of unclear. It turns out it is a carriage house or barn, however you want to describe it, and then the main house. And you could take anything and put in bags, anything from the main house or from the carriage house. And so the carriage house is where the majority of the fabric was, but there's also, you know, some fabric in the house as well, along with all kinds of other things. They're selling everything, you know, all the dishware and the books and all that. But these women, they would travel, you know, back and forth, Florida and New York, to this house, and they would teach classes, different kinds of classes in this house. They specialize in textile arts, specifically doll making. So there's all kinds of doll parts kind of all over this main house and the barn. It was kind of crazy. And then doll related items like little tea sets and things like that. But they, over the years, pre-COVID, they had kind of started to want to get rid of some of their stuff. And they had tried a couple times to sell the stuff, but emotionally, they just really had a hard time doing that. So they weren't very successful. So more recently, I think that they may have had some health related things come up, and with COVID and everything, they just decided to get rid of this house up north and move down to Florida. Very similar to the estate sale we just went to of Carol Taylor, who also lived in Florida and in New York, and then decided just to sell all of her stuff in New York and move to Florida. So they basically came together from Florida, drove up to New York, loaded their car with like anything that they felt like they couldn't live without from their house and the barn. And from my understanding, just kind of left everything as is. Like they had their bowl of cereal and then just left it in the sink and left. So everything was just kind of untouched. So this woman who's running this estate sale, she knows these artist women in some way. I wasn't clear about how she knew them, but she's kind of running the whole thing. All right, let's take a look at some of this fabric. I'll say I have 3 quilt project ideas in this bundle here that I'll tell you about. And what I've decided with this fabric is that I'm not going to mix this when I finally go to store this. I'm not going to mix it with all of my, you know, really nice quilting cottons. This will be separate. And so I'll keep this fabric separate, and when I make a quilt, I'll be able to integrate some of my nice quilting cottons in with this fabric. But if I'm using my nice quilting cottons, I'm likely not going to use this fabric for those projects. So they'll be separate projects. Let's jump right in and see what we got here. First up are these upholstery weight fabrics. These took up like a lot of space in the bags, but you can see that these fabrics are much thicker. This might be like a corduroy maybe. I'm not sure what these fabrics are, but you can see that there's a lot of fading. Let's see if I can see some of the fading. There's a lot of fading on these, so you can see, for instance, this green one has this line of fading. I want to make a quilt with these heavyweight fabrics, and I'm just going to leave these faded lines. You know, I'm just going to be keeping it for myself and I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I think it kind of like adds a little bit of visual interest. So I'm gonna keep the fadedness, and I don't know what these fabrics are. I mean, they feel very velvety, but I don't know really what velvet is supposed to really look like. I don't really know a lot about these other kind of fabrics that are not quilting cotton. Now this piece has a ton of holes, and I almost threw away this piece because there are so many holes and stains in this fabric, as you can see. But again, you know, here's another stain. Since I'm keeping this for myself, here's a faded line. I just figured I could cut around the holes, and I really liked this color a lot. I don't know if the color is reading on the screen, but it's like this deep orange color. This one is a little bit more pinkish. I have a purple here, this orange, and a couple of these greens. So I also got some of these pieces that are the same type of fabric as these ones that I just showed you, but they're not going to go in the same quilt. I really liked those other ones kind of all together. This is the only piece that when I washed it, it kind of didn't fare so well. It became more like towel-like instead of velvety, but I still really like the color. So I'll use that for something, but it'll be a different project. And then this is a denim. I want to make a jean quilt at some point, and so I got that denim, which will be perfect for the jean quilt. And then here are two other of these heavyweight upholstery type items. This I think was a dress that was not in good shape, and then it kind of fell apart in the wash, but the material is still really good. And again, I can cut all this apart and use that. So that's the upholstery weight fabric. I'm really excited to make that quilt. I am always cold, so I think having that really big, heavy quilt will be awesome. And then I'm thinking about backing it in some kind of flannel, which I didn't get any flannel here, so I'd have to go into my stash and get a big piece of flannel for the back. But I've never worked with that heavyweight fabric, so I have no idea how that's gonna be to quilt those pieces together. But we'll do it together and I'll let you know. So the other two, so that's one quilt that I'm excited about. The other two quilts are with quilting cotton. I'm going to show those to you, the fabric that I got. The first one are these fabrics here, none of which really go together, which I love. I kind of am feeling like it's like a 60s, 70s fabric kind of vibe with like the burnt orange and the mustard yellows and kind of the bright leprechaun greens. All of this is going to be kind of like a Modge Podge quilt, but I have a couple ideas about how to put these pieces together that I'm really excited about. So let me show you these fabrics here. Okay, here you can kind of all see them together and how they don't really go, but tonally they do kind of go. But so let's just start with the beginning. There's kind of a nice purplish plum color. There's kind of an orangey red. This one is like one of my favorites. And like I said, I got a lot of yardage in some of these, some of them not so much. This one is a sheet. So it has a sheet and a pillowcase with it. And I have used sheets in the past and have not really liked combining sheets with quilting cotton. However, what I've noticed is older sheets that I've used work far better than some of the newer store-bought ones. I think that they just made sheets differently. I don't know if there was a larger percentage that was cotton back in the day of the sheet versus more polyester now. But I was thinking I would do the backing in this sheet, and I love this color so much. This burnt orange is just fantastic. Here's this pop of pink with the black and brown. That brown one. I love fabrics that have like a bunch of different colors going on because you can pull in so many different colors from one individual fabric. Here's another kind of orangey red with the black and a little bit of, looks like yellow, kind of a mustard color that I like. This fabulous green. There is a ton of this fabric. There's some of these, there was so much fabric that I had to cut it into pieces because when I was ironing it, it was just too much to deal with. And then this brown. brown polka dot. So this is going to be a quilt, and I don't think I'm going to have to bring any fabrics in from, you know, my other stash, any fabrics that I already had. I think I can make this full quilt just out of these pieces here. The other project that I'm really excited about, so the third and final quilt that I'm going to make out of these pieces that I got from this estate sale, is this kind of quilt based on florals. So there's two primary prints, of course they're at the bottom of this stack, that I wanted to combine. There is this large print here. This is regular quilting fabric by the yard. There is a ton of this fabric, just so much of it. I could do this fabric for, you know, the backing of a quilt because it's this large print, but I don't want to. I want to do this as part of the front of a quilt. So I want to have some big quilt blocks with these really beautiful pieces here. And then additionally, this is a sheet. And again, like I just mentioned, not a big fan of using sheets in my quilting typically, but this, you know, I felt this, and this sheet feels really, really good. I think this is an older piece, and I think this will work well. So next to each other, these don't really work all that well. But when you start bringing in other pieces, so for example, like this one here, they start to kind of fit together nicely. And it's just kind of pairing these up and seeing what might work. And so I've pulled a bunch of ones that I think will work really nicely with both of these pieces. And here's a nice mustard solid there. And then this blue polka dot on the white kind of calms everything down a bit. And I have a large piece of this pink. I'm not sold on the pink in this quilt, but I think that it could work. And then I have these two blues here. I do think that I'm going to need to bring in some fabric from my existing stash, maybe a light pink floral to kind of bring out the pinks here and here, because the only pink I have is this one, which is a little bright. And then to bring in some purples, to bring out the purples here. But besides that, this is, you know, quilt number 3. So I have the upholstery weight fabrics as a quilt, kind of the 60s, 70s quilt, and then I'm considering this kind of a floral quilt. So all really different, but fun. All right, and here's a bunch of fabrics that are not for any project in particular. These ones kind of go together, but that I really loved, and so I grabbed them, and there are a bunch of these. This one here is another one that there was so much of this fabric that I had to cut it into pieces just so that I could manage it a little bit better on the ironing board. This one is another one that there is a ton of, and I don't know if you can see, but the middle of the flowers have a tiny speck of green. So this could even be considered Christmas, but I'm not gonna consider this Christmas. I think that this is just kind of a nice red. Here's red and black. And this brown, the taupe polka dots on the brown is very faded in spots. Let's open this up and see. So you can see how faded some of these spots are. But again, I'm okay with that, considering that these fabrics are going to be kept separate from my other fabrics, so that I'll know what types of projects I can feel comfortable using these with. This is kind of a smaller piece. This is a black with the white polka dot. I love this. This would make a great kind of apron pockets or something. And then the white with the blue polka dots. This purple piece, I am probably just gonna put in my scrap bin because there's not very much of it, and it really doesn't go with anything else that I got. It's really the only piece that is like this. So I'll put that in with my scraps. This is one of my favorites. That kind of green is one of my favorite colors, and I love the light pink and the dark pink combo there with the burgundy background. That's beautiful. This will be very versatile. Make a sweet baby quilt. Now this one is kind of funny. Let me show you. So, but this is like a huge skirt that I found in one part of the house. Or no, this is a dress, sorry. So this was a dress that I found in one part of the house that was unfinished. And then in a different part of the house, I found, or maybe it was even the carriage house, I found this polka dot, which is the same fabric. So it's kind of fun to find that this was the fabric that that dress came from, that they made. I thought that was really cool. And this one is pretty. I thought that this went with the floral quilt that I'm gonna make, but I put it up against the floral stuff and it made it look too kind of fuddy-duddy. It was just too kind of old-fashioned-y floral, so I didn't put that with that. That's a great green. That'd make a good baby quilt. And again, this piece, I have a lot of fabric. This could go with kind of the 60s, 70s quilt, but it was a little too burgundy red instead of that orangey red that I was using. I love this. I have a ton of this fabric. There was so much of this. And look at this selvage. I mean, look how beautiful that is. Really gorgeous. I don't have a specific project for these pieces, but I did kind of think that they all went together. Maybe something with the kitchen, like a table runner or placemats or something like that. But let me show you these. You know, red polka dot is just so kitchen-like to me, but that could also, you know, be used in a Christmas quilt or a baby quilt. This one's really fun and kind of vintage looking. It's hard to know which fabrics of these are actual vintage and then which ones just kind of are made to look vintage. I love this one with the fruits. Kind of like has a Matisse feel, doesn't it? And then this yellow with the gray and white. And that kind of like reminds me of circus fabric. These fabrics were a little bit lighter weight, so I put them together. There is a lot of this one. Again, so much I cut it into pieces. But it's so pretty and it feels so good. It is so lightweight. I probably wouldn't use this for a quilt because it is so lightweight, but like an apron or something would be perfect. And speaking of aprons, let me show you some aprons. So that's all there is for the yardage of the quilting cottons, but that's a lot. Let me show you some aprons and some other things now. I suddenly became obsessed with aprons on this trip. And I will say, a couple months ago, seen this little article about aprons and how they used to be used, and it really touched my heart. So I think that maybe I had aprons on the mind, but I'm gonna show you some of these that are darling. They're fantastic. But the article that I saw was talking about how back in the day, aprons weren't just like brought out to do cooking or whatever. I mean, a woman, when she got up in the morning, she put on her apron and she used it all day long. She used it to gather the eggs and bring the eggs into the house. She used it to dust the furniture. She used it to wipe her child's tears. And the apron was really utilitarian and used constantly. And the idea of that just made me really want to constantly wear aprons, to own aprons and wear aprons. So they had a bunch of them at this house that I'm going to show you. I really like them. I think they're all stained, but a lot of them are hand embroidered, handmade. So let me show you some of those. Here's the first one. This is one of my favorites. And this one, look at how great this back is. I don't know if you can really see this. This is why I'm thinking about trying them on for you. But this is the back, and it just kind of opens up, and then it has these little ties as well. So let's see, should I try this on? So you just put this right over your head like this. And I mean, how amazing is that? And then it just kind of flows in the back. You just tie it in a little bow. And you know, you have this great apron. Isn't that adorable? So I'm thinking about recreating some of these aprons. Like I wouldn't be able to do this kind of like detail around the edge and the front, but I think this would even work just kind of more with using the outline of the apron, but keeping it a little bit more basic. Here's another one. Let's see what this one is. Okay, so this is great because it has this nice pocket on the front. I do love a pocket. And again, you just kind of put it on the front, and it has this pretty trim. That would be really easy to do, I think. And then you just tie it in the back. Now, I think this one at some point, let me see. Yeah, this one has a snap. I don't like the idea of a snap. Like, let me see if I can get it over my head. If I snap it, can I put it over my head? I think I can, yeah. I would probably just sew that up and just make that the way that it attaches. And then, let's see. And then that's the back. It has kind of like this open back. And then you can just, you know, go out and gather your eggs in the body of the apron. This one doesn't have to be Christmassy, but it kind of has like a Christmassy feel to it. And it reminds me, I would feel a little silly wearing this around. This reminds me more of like a little girl's, what do they call those that they put on top of the dresses? Like, I don't think it's a petticoat, it's a pinafore. This reminds me more of a pinafore than an apron, but it is an apron. And then again, what I don't like about the back is all these closures, right? You have like a closure here that's lost a button. So it's too many closures. I would again probably do the same thing where I would just sew that shut so that you would put it over your head. But yeah, I'll just throw this one on so you get an idea. It is beautiful. And then this one has like the sides that are all gathered there, which is kind of a nice touch. And then I really do like the lace on this as well. Kind of the details are really pretty. This one makes me feel like I'm right out of the 1950s with this polka dot fabric. It has 2 pockets, one on each side, and it doesn't have any weird closures in the back, which I like. You just put it right over your head, and then the pockets are on the side, right, like that. And then the back kind of just ties like that. This has quite a few stains, unfortunately, but this has a beautiful back. I mean, there's something about that back that I just love, and there's no closures. I mean, you just leave it open like that. It really is one that you just throw on. This might be my favorite, actually. So you can see the detail of the embroidery around the bodice and then around the skirt as well. Really beautiful. This one is super cool in the back. It crisscrosses and then ties. There are ties. Where are they? Oh no, maybe there's not. No, there's no ties. It's just you kind of sling it through your arms and then over your head, and you just adjust it to whatever height you are, and it just kind of naturally falls in the back. Last apron, we're finally there. This one is more of a traditional apron. It has this piece that goes around the top, also very stained, but it's kind of like this nice thick piece, so you can see in the back it kind of falls nicely. And then see if I can back up so you can see it. And then it just has these ties that go around the back, but again, it's these cute pockets. I don't really love how you have to like open the flap to reach inside them. So besides the aprons, there's some other clothes items that I got. There's this dress, which I tried on, and it actually fits perfectly. It has this beautiful mandarin collar. It has like this high collar, and then it kind of cuts down. I'm not going to try this on for you, but I did try it on and it fits really well. Unfortunately, it's just not my color, but I'm going to donate this dress. This is one of my favorites. This is a dress that I'm going to keep. I think, so this is just made out of muslin. It's pretty long. You can see, kind of goes all the way down. and it's snug. This dress is snug on me. It's almost small, but it does fit. It's made out of muslin. I think that they actually probably made this dress as a mock-up to make the dress out of something that's not muslin. But right now, nap dresses are really in. If you look up nap dresses, they're all over the place. They're just these like special dresses that I guess women buy to take their naps in. Now, I don't typically nap. I really love to sleep, and I can go to bed really early and sleep in really late, and I try not to do that. I try and get up at a reasonable hour, but napping to me feels a little wasteful just because I could spend all day sleeping. So I try not to nap because then it's really hard to wake up. But I love the idea of having a nap dress or just like a loungewear dress. So I'm gonna keep this and I'm gonna wear it kind of more as like loungewear. Then I have a couple random items here. I have this little piece of cloth that I think I'm just gonna make, like I don't even have to say make, like I'm not gonna make it into anything, it already is. I'm just gonna like use it as a little like napkin or dish towel or something. This is a heavier weight. This is like almost like a light canvas. And so I think I wanna make this into like a dish towel or something. This is just regular quilting cotton, but I kept it separate. There's so much of this fabric. There's probably like, I'm not even exaggerating, there's probably like 12 yards of this fabric. I had to cut this into 4 separate pieces because it was just so huge. So I am going to keep this with my actual Christmas fabric instead of keeping it separate. Even though I got it from this house, I took a look at it. There's really no stains, there's no holes, and I'll just be more likely to use it if it's in with my Christmas fabric. So that's where this is gonna go. And then lastly, I have this piece of fabric that's more linen-like, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I might just make some like napkins or something and maybe make them into a Christmas gift. I got 2 items that are like Orphan quilt blocks, I would consider them to be kind of. One is this strip that's already been quilted, like it already has batting in the middle and is quilted, and it's these flying geese, which I love, and it's in pretty good shape in terms of like there's no holes in the pieces or stains. I don't know if they like cut this out of an existing quilt or something. You can see there's hand quilting. They hand quilted a line across each one of the bottom of these triangles, but the actual piecing of it is by machine. I'm gonna use this in some kind of project. I don't know what. It makes it a little more complicated since it's already quilted, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. Then this one is not already quilted, but the fabric is super thin. I don't remember seeing any stains on this. I don't think there's any stains. It's in okay shape. I might need to like back it with like a light stabilizer or something, but I'll just put this in with my Orphan quilt blocks and make something out of it. Again, this one is machine quilted. I get really excited about anything that's been hand pieced together. This is not hand pieced, it's machine pieced, but I still think it's cool. I like that they made it and I can eventually do something with it. Now, I have a couple more things to show. I have these that I'm going to show, and then the rest of the items, I just have a couple more items, are not fabric related. They're like non-fabric-y things. And I just have a couple of those. So this is my last fabric thing, and I have something to say about this. These are 8 pieces, and I just saw them kind of like tucked away. This was probably the biggest treasure, in my opinion, that I found. And I feel like I really shouldn't be the one to have these pieces that I'm gonna show you. And I'm gonna find a way to talk to some people that I know and find out who should own or should have these items. Let me show you what these are and what I'm talking about. So I don't think that these 8 pieces have any monetary value, but I do think that they probably have some kind of cultural value to people who either come from this culture or know something about this culture. And when I say this culture, I actually don't know what this is. I think that these probably represent the culture of either Mexican people or perhaps a Caribbean island. I'll show you each one, but that's a guess, just a guess. I don't know. I don't want to assume. I'm certainly not going to assume anything. But you'll see that this first, there's one yellow and then the rest of them are on white. This one is of some kind of religious ceremony, it looks like. Again, I don't want to make any assumptions, but there's a lot of crosses here. You know, some of these scenes, they just look like something religious is going on. This looks like it's some kind of, I mean, is that a rosary? I don't know. I hesitate to assume anything. But that's what it looks like to me. I think these are beautiful. So what makes these beautiful is not necessarily the quality of the embroidery. I don't know a lot about embroidery, but this seems like pretty basic embroidery to me. But it is the cultural aspects, the creativity that went into each one of these pieces that I find to be absolutely breathtaking. So here you have, this to me looks like maybe a market scene. Again, I hate to guess at all of these things because I just don't know. But it looks like maybe this is some tortilla making up here. And weaving, rug weaving. And then these are like perhaps the market vendors down here selling the fruit, some pottery, fish. She has a basket on her back. This one looks like a party with the piñata. She's holding the piñata. He has the blindfold on. And then here is what looks like a nativity scene with the three kings. Mary, Joseph the baby. So this could tell us something about the culture, at least, you know, what religion they celebrated. And maybe are these lanterns? Perhaps a game? I don't know. So I'm not going to take too much time on each one of these. I'll post some pictures at the end so you can take some time and really look at them. But even the patterns on the dresses, I think really could indicate something about these women and their lives and where they're from. The little baby in the sling. This looks like some kind of game where they have to climb something. I don't know if this is a tree or looks like they're trying to get the hanging fruit or something like that. There's a lot of jugs all around. And this looks like a fishing scene to me. The mountains, a bunch of people playing instruments and dancing. I love the dancers. And the last one, these women, one with the baby and the fruit, and then they have actual braids that are three-dimensional, which is really cool. It's a couple hours later, and this is one long video. I am almost done. So just about those 8 pieces of fabric that I showed you, I love those so much. I want to find somebody who can really appreciate them for all of their glory. I appreciate them, but I think somebody who is a part of that culture or who has studied that culture, whatever that culture may be, who loves and appreciates all that's going on in those scenes, I really want those pieces of fabric to end up with that person or persons. So I have some people I can be in touch with about that, and I'll make sure that they end up in the right place. Last things, we're almost there. I have a couple that are non-fabric or clothes related. We'll just go through these really fast. I have a ruler. I don't know. Why did I buy that? I don't know. I have some sequins. It's like a little bag of different colored sequins. I've never used sequins in my life, but I feel like they're contained in a bag and organized by color, so at some point if I need sequins, they're there. Little sticks. Who doesn't need little pointy sticks, right? Some kind of craft would be great. Magnets. These are called amazing magnets. So I was like, I need amazing magnets. This, I don't know what these are. Maybe you can comment and tell me, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packs of these sheets. It doesn't say what they are. Here's what it is, right? You open it up. This was in with like the spools. They had like spools of thread and stuff, and sewing supplies. U.S. Steel Supply, Division of the United States. I think these are like to clean your steel needles and stuff, is my guess. These are needle holders, but they're wooden. I love any kind of like wooden containers. Embroidery hoop. I don't have one this size. I only have big embroidery hoops, so this is necessary in my life. I got this book, Quilt National 2003, The Best of Contemporary Quilts. I got this purple basket and these wooden spools, which I think I could do something really fun and creative with these wooden spools. And last thing, I got these wooden beads. I have an idea for an upcoming project for us to do, so look for these beads. That is it. Huge success on this quilt adventure. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.